Mo Monroe is wanted for the financial terrorist attack Black Monday.
Black Monday was my idea.
It's me, Wizard of Wall Street himself.
Mo is back, baby.
Okay, well, the UFC 248 main event, and the entire event, of course, is in the books. The main event, lackluster, but the results are as follows, as most people know. Israel Adesanya retains his UFC middleweight title, defeating Yoel Romero by unanimous decision. But Brian Campbell, the controversy coming out of Saturday was that if Adesanya is the winner, and of course he was, fine. There's some people thinking that Romero should have won. I don't really think there's much of a case for that. But what everyone's really talking about is how boring it was, how lackluster it was, how it did not live up to expectations. Now, I did a whole thing on this for Morning Kombat Dissected, so I will give the baton to you, sir.
Hey, look at this.
Kick things off for us.
I have co-host credits on my contract. This is great.
If the question is who is to blame for the boring nature of the fight, what would you say?
The blame is split here. It's more in Romero. It's just not 100% Romero like Dana White and everybody else is framing it. They blew it collectively, right? They could have given us this, what I thought on paper was this like potential fight of the year, this all action thing. Romero, 42 years old, his last chance, his fourth and final chance at a piece of that middleweight title. You would have thought and you would have hoped that he was going to come out and press the issue and we were going to have fun. I'll take an L on this. I didn't think it through enough to realize two counterpunchers, what happens if one of them refuses or both of them refuse to take the lead? That's largely what happened. Adesanya deserves to win this fight because he actually made a championship adjustment in round 3 and 4 and figured out a way that's basically like, look, Romero, you're going to fight like an a-hole. I'm going to figure out how to win this fight with the least amount of exertion and not put myself in danger. In some ways, that's a praise to him because that actually shows his well-rounded greatness. Why would he go into such ridiculous dangers when Romero, who was just setting a trap, and basically blowing the fight to set this trap? From that point, I say that was smart. But at the same time, they're both to blame. I'm not saying Adesanya had to rush and be reckless, but it was pretty clear from the beginning that Romero was like going to try to do this an alternate way, right? We thought that, I mean, there's ways to gamble. One way would have been to run in there and rush at him. He decided the alternate way. He decided he was going to set up traps and just play that game and play his sweet music. And I think through 2 rounds, I thought he was painting a masterpiece. It was the same equivalent how you can do in other sports, Luke. It may not be the most entertaining, but in basketball, you can hold the ball for the entire shot clock in college basketball in the corner of the floor and then shoot it with 1 second to go, and it can limit the possessions. I think that's ultimately what he was trying to do. He succeeded. He disarmed Adesanya. Again, Adesanya made the right adjustments to be able to win rounds 3 and 4, but I scored that 3 rounds to 2 for Romero. There were many journalists that scored it for Romero that I saw.
Donks.
That doesn't mean that he should have won. That doesn't mean that he has an argument to win. But he took a backdoor chance at doing something that you can't do, unfortunately, in MMA, which is something we've seen consistently from Cuban boxers on the highest level in boxing. Or Erislandy Lara versus Canelo, where you're like, he
backed up the entire time.
He painted a masterpiece of slickness and defensive and counterpunching, but he did not do enough to sway the judges in the end. He did enough to have an argument, but he did not do enough. The problem is, in boxing, you can get credit for defense and ring generalship. In MMA, it's pretty much damage. So Romero came out here with the idea, I'm going to, bring out the finest wine and the high-level IPAs, but ultimately in MMA, the judges drink canned beer, and that's what the rule set is, so you can't win doing that style. I thought he won. I thought he gave himself a chance, but he deserves the most level of criticism because this was his last shot. This was what he said was a gift from God to get this fight coming off of 2 defeats. This was his last chance from a guy who had gone 3 times to the scorecards in his biggest fights and got the wrong end of the deal, and he was going to set up to leave himself in that spot one more time. He deserves the fail for not getting it, but he did succeed, and you got to say this. He succeeded in disarming maybe the greatest striker in UFC, and because Adesanya ultimately took the chance of saying, okay, I'm going to do just enough to survive in advance, he did take a big gamble, Luke. I'm saying, I scored it 3-2, rounds 3 and 4 in stone. Round 1 for Romero, I think in stone because he landed the only strike of note. I thought Romero won round 5 when he pressed the action.
Yeah, I would not agree he won round 2.
And round 2 was certainly a swing round because Romero had that one flurry of 3 punches in the corner, that's again really the only thing that happened. So while it's rare to give rounds to people for landing 1 strike or 2 strikes, I think Adesanya took the same gamble that John Jones did against Thiago Santos, where it's like, All right, we'll go to the cards. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, the argument that I make in Morning Kombat Dissected is one provided with visual evidence, so I don't want to overly repeat things. Let me pick up on one comment you had made. This could be Adesanya's last chance. And certainly if you, Romero's last chance. And certainly if you listen to Dana White at the post-fight press conference, he seemed to give a lot of oxygen to that idea. Still, I would pump the brakes on that one. Yes, if Romero goes on a losing streak, well, then this might have been his last chance. But let's say he keeps winning, because by the way, he was very close in this fight. I think we can all agree. And he was close in the Paulo Costa fight. He was close in both, but especially the second Whitaker fight. He's still obviously very, very competitive. If he keeps winning, do I think he'll never get another title shot? I don't really buy that. So,
well, they would never go out of their way to do it. Like, look, he didn't deserve this title shot, but they went out of their way for.
But the idea that he's now barred from title shots if he goes out there and keeps winning just seems a little ridiculous to me. But certainly he did himself no favors with the way he fought this one. To me, the blame, I won't say it doesn't go to Adesanya, because you could say, look, if you're a fan and you show up for an entertainment product and you pay money, there's a bit of a bargain going on, which is, yeah, there's going to be a little bit of a blood and guts kind of atmosphere. I don't want you to go crazy necessarily with it. If you do, that's even better. But something more than what we got. I can understand that sentiment. I don't think policing fan expectations in that way is the right answer.
Not everybody's Chuck Liddell. Chuck Liddell would never have had that happen, but he showed his business prowess, Adesanya, to basically say, like,
right, well, dude,
it's more important for me to protect this belt and these millions, so I'm just going to get out of here with a win.
You got a choice to make if you're Israel Adesanya. You can fight Yoel Romero and maybe win either way, but you can fight him like Robert Whitaker did, where you can take potentially lasting, career-altering damage, and you can win, and you'll get plenty of applause. Or you can go the other way, which is you're not going to get any applause, but you're going to come out of that completely unscathed. And let me finish. And you get to retain your belt. And he made a choice to go the other way. Now, you had mentioned something that I really disagree with.
Yeah, what do you got?
The scoring is, again, these rounds are all kind of close. It's fine, whatever. I don't really care that much. The 4 rounds to 1 for Adesanya was a little bit unusual, but okay, still. The way I would say is you called Adesanya a counter-puncher. I don't really think that's very fair. He can do some of that. In fact, he can do a lot of it. But if I make anything clear with Morning Kombat Dissected, there were multiple times, dozens, he is trying to initiate offense. And what happens over and over again, and this is why Romero deserves most of the blame if you ask me, multiple times you see Adesanya trying to find an opening. And by that, I don't just mean feinting. I mean throwing. All different kinds of looks, all different kinds of attacks, all different positions in the cage to get different responses from Romero. And credit to Romero, he's got incredible vision. He wasn't biting on any of the feints.
His defense was out of control.
It's out of control, good. No one had ever looked at Adesanya's strikes and blocked and gotten out of the way of them like Romero had. That is incredible. But the problem is you devote so much time to that, you don't have any ability to trap Romero. You didn't shoot until, what, the 4th round, 3rd or 4th round? You only shot 3 different times.
And shout out to Adesanya's takedown defense.
Which was very good. And you can say, oh, well, he's got good cardio. He can't shoot. That sounds like a Yoel Romero problem, not an Adesanya problem. And so my point being is this. It's not really fair to call Adesanya a counter-striker. He had to get up into a point.
Oh, he's a counter-striker.
He can be, yes. That is not predominantly who he was, and that's not what he was doing in this fight. He was looking to lead. He could not get a response from Romero, and so as a consequence, he had to go to the leg kicks.
While you're right on that, and I do encourage people to check out Morning Kombat Dissected. Certainly not enough Campbell in that show, but you did point out some great things about what he was doing. But you can't bet that the judges will get that. That's my point on this. So
what do you mean?
That the judges will see that. Oh, he's initiating. Now, look, in rounds 3 and 4, I think it's the leg kicks that won it for him, right? He basically said, the only thing I can land here is leg kicks and jabs from the outside, so I'm just going to keep doing that. And if Romero's not going to come forward, that's going to be what
to
will
the
be.
gut, too, we're going there.
But there's a gamble in that, Luke. I said not everybody's Chuck Liddell.
Right, hold on. But you're making a different case. We're not asking, what do you need to do to be convincing to the judges? We're asking, who do you blame for the fight being lackluster? 2 different considerations, 2 different things you're measuring.
More blame to Yoel, but I do believe you have to give Adesanya some blame. And not just for the lack of entertainment, but for the fact that he basically took the... Don't worry about it, guys. Just keep unloading stuff back there.
Okay, by all means, make as much noise as possible.
We'll keep doing the show back over here. But he took a gamble, and I think he took this gamble, Adesanya, of not going for it because he got disciplined in round 1 on that looping left hand, the one that hit him in the eye. I think he realized in that spot...
He lands that left multiple times through the course of the fight.
Not as powerful, but
yeah, because Adesanya didn't play with range.
Well, here's the flip side of it. Adesanya was blinking his eye, he's covering it up. It was obviously that he was hurt. He got hit with a big shot.
It didn't even swell, dude.
The fact that Romero didn't rush in and try to take advantage of that, is why he has no defense here with the scorecards. But what I want to fight back against is that. Here's what I want to fight back.
Here's the question. Here's the question. You can clearly look at what Romero was doing, and you can say, what more could he have done? Wow, a lot, dude. A lot more times he could have thrown. A lot more takedown attempts he could have done. A lot more about cornering. Look at the tape and show me what Adesanya could have done aside from just walking in there with his hands down.
Well, again,
because I honestly don't know what the answer is.
I'm not saying Romero put him in a good spot. Romero put him in a very difficult spot where it's like, if you're going to land anything against me, you're going to have to take a big chance because I'm a coiled cobra who's not going to take the lead at all. But it worked, which is why I'm saying that even though Romero deserves the blame for being dumb, I'm gonna say it right out. And I love you, boy. I see you soon. I love you. But that was to have gone down that road 3 times previously and to go back a 4th. Like, that's just not smart, knowing how the fights are scored. But he disciplined him, Luke. So anyone that's coming out after watching that fight and just goes, oh, it's 100% Romero, what an idiot, he had no game plan. No, he had a very, very detailed and smart game plan. It was obviously lacking the offense that would give him a benefit of the doubt at the scorecards. But he had a game plan, which was to take away what Israel Adesanya does best, which is when you rush him, counter him. So he did not rush at all. He showed incredible defense, and he was ready to counter big if he frustrated Adesanya to the point where he was going to take some chances to entertain. Or take some chances out of fear that he could lose this belt on a wonky decision.
Dude, this is not a new Romero. It's a better version in terms of the things he's already been doing. As I mentioned, his vision and his defense was great. But go back and look at the Luke Rockhold fight. He loves to fight this kind of way where he just waits and doesn't corner.
But my point on that is anyone that thinks he was doing nothing out there, he had a game plan and he came close.
Dude, what good is your game plan? What good is against Luke Rockhold, you can afford to have that kind of a game plan, which was, I'm going to sort of wait and absorb, see what they give me. But Luke Rockhold doesn't have the feinting, doesn't have the movement, doesn't have the distance control, and doesn't have the weaponry of Adesanya. So he's like, I never got a chance to throw. Yeah, dude, because Adesanya didn't put himself in a position to get cracked very often. He was always kind of being very careful about what he was throwing. The idea of I'm going to be just defensive, and then go into offense, that's a fine way to do it, provided you go into the offense.
He didn't do enough. I get that, but you can't. But anyone that's going to look at it and be like, "Oh, he blew it. He didn't try. What is he doing? He's stupid." No, he had a full game plan.
I don't think what he did was stupid. That would be unfair. Again, his vision and his ability to block what Adesanya was doing, dude, he was constantly blocking his jabs, constantly blocking.
Well, what was stupid was not understanding the moment. That was what was stupid.
And what was just ill-advised was, to borrow soccer terms, to park the bus, to borrow football terms, to just play prevent defense. You can do that for parts of a round. I think it's absolutely smart to do that. You can't adopt that as a general posture. And he also has to reconcile, one last point on this, he has to reconcile something. There were times when he had Adesanya backed up, literally walking backwards and then his back against the fence. And he does not have the skills or the energy in terms of what he could do with his wrestling to contain him. That is not Adesanya's fault, and that is not Adesanya's problem. But it's a Romero problem.
He did put Adesanya in a spot where he had to make a tough decision, and that tough decision was win with criticism or risk it all to try to get Romero out of there.
Yeah.
Adesanya chose the latter. There's an argument in there that's smart, that's being a businessman. But I'm going to say it again, Romero succeeded in what he was trying to do, Luke. It wouldn't have been the game plan I would have picked for him, but he came close to scoring a wonky decision there by just holding the ball, by just taking Adesanya's best offense away from him, Luke. He succeeded in that.
Okay, just to be clear, this is Adesanya, he made his UFC debut in February of 2018. Rob Wilkinson, performance of the night. He got a TKO there. 2 fights later against Brad Tavares, performance of the night. He, of course, won that. Next one, performance of the night, Derek Brunson. Anderson Silva, fight of the night. Kelvin Gastelum, do I need to say anything? Fight of the year contender, and, of course, fight of the night. Then he beats Robert Whittaker, performance of the night. We have, let's see, 7 fights, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times, all but 9 times, excuse me. All but 2 of those, he has won a performance of the, performance of the night.
So you backed up my point.
No, this idea that every time he needs to go out there and just dazzle everyone.
No.
The reason why he can knock out the Robert Whittakers, the reason why he can do the things against Kelvin Gastelum is the same reason against Silva and Romero, crafty people who sit back in the cut and wait. It's the same Adesanya. It's the stimuli he's being given there. And if they don't want to engage and he's trying to open you up, knocking on the turtle shell to get the turtle to walk, if they don't want to walk, that's not his problem. So Just going to point out some facts for you, Brian
Yeah,
Campbell.
you backed up my point there. I mean, Romero was the only one who succeeded in completely disarming him. Now, again, to his discredit, he didn't do enough offensively. Fifth round, you got to give him credit.
Wide disparity.
He did put his foot down on the gas pedal. I thought he won round 5 on my scorecard. That was just enough in a bad fight. But he kind of succeeded at making this an ugly, bad fight. And he almost tricked Adesanya into losing a decision. You have to agree with that.
I will definitely agree with the defensive part. Romero's defensive work here was brilliant, truly brilliant. The problem was that's all there was.
Mo Monroe is wanted for the financial terrorist attack Black Monday.
Black Monday was my idea.
It's me, the Wizard of Wall Street himself.
Mo is back, baby.